I wanted to, I could go get some right now. It's really available. I'd say marijuana use is definitely more prevalent in our school than it used to be. Most kids say tobacco is gross, and so they turn towards marijuana. They think it's not why do you smoke marijuana, it's why shouldn't you smoke marijuana. People think that getting high makes them feel better, and they like to be high, so why shouldn't they? And they don't believe marijuana has any negative effects on them.
Many parents at Allie's Massachusetts school don't see any problems with pot either.
You've got a lot of parents now that come in and they'll look at me as a vice principal and they'll say, Mark, what's the big deal? It's just marijuana. It's not a big deal.
We had parents flat out say, you know, I'd rather have my kids smoking pot than drinking. I feel like it's less harmful.
In Massachusetts, the relaxed attitude towards marijuana began in earnest after voters approved a measure in 2008. It decriminalized an ounce or less of marijuana and muddied the waters about marijuana use in the state.
I would talk to adults in the community that they were confused about decriminalization, and they really thought it was legalization.
The new law changed the penalty for possession from a criminal offense to a civil fine.
It's really not enforceable. The only option the city would have, theoretically, would be to put a lien on the person's house, but most kids and most marijuana users may not have houses, and the city obviously isn't going to go through that expense for $100. We do see it as a joke. We see it as sending the wrong message to youth, and we just see it as pretty much unenforceable. But sadly, most sadly, it's the will of at least the population that voted for it.
Many teens don't seem to see any risk in possessing marijuana.
Most of them think, you know, it's almost legal. It's decriminalized. It's out there. It's readily available, and it's one of those things where they feel like, you know, I never have more than an ounce anyway, so I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not going to get in trouble, and even if I do, nothing's going to happen because it's a slap on the wrist. It's a ticket.
Work is underway to try to bring back the possibility of criminal penalties for minors caught with marijuana.
What we did was put together a bill that treats possession of marijuana in the same way that we treat possession of alcohol for minors, with the understanding that in each case you haven't matured enough yet to make formative good decisions about the use of those substances.
Data is showing many teens in Massachusetts communities don't see any dangers to smoking marijuana.
Since that law passed in 2008, kids' perception of how harmful marijuana is decreased. Our data 2 years ago showed that about roughly 60% of kids thought regular use of marijuana was harmful. 2 years later, in our most recent survey this past March, that rate dropped 10 percentage points to 49%.
Student surveys showed marijuana usage among teens is becoming more prevalent.
We saw a little bit of a decrease in alcohol use among youth, but an uptick in marijuana use. And this was aligning with what law enforcement was seeing, physicians were seeing. So we put this together and we said, you know, this is an issue that we have to address, and what can we do in the community to do that?
With many coalitions around the state seeing the same problems with marijuana, coalition leaders decided uniting was the best way to serve their individual communities.
Massachusetts Prevention Alliance is a group of different people in the prevention field working at the local level, as joining as a united force to address policy issues that impact youth in the state.
As a group, MAPA has standardized talking points for coalitions, sued the state about the language for a new ballot initiative, and is ready to continue the fight, no matter what.
It's a beast. It's been a freight train, and we are a grassroots mobilization effort with very limited resources, and we're going up against very well-organized, very deeply funded oppositional force. It's not over. It's never going to be over. You know, it's going to be a constant battle until the public opinion on this issue turns.